Jiwon Park moved through the strange forest like a ghost. His black combat suit helped him blend with the dark trees around him. The trees on this world were not like Earth trees. They glowed with soft blue light and their bark looked like glass. When the wind touched them, they made music like tiny bells. But Jiwon was not here to enjoy the beauty. He was here to hunt. 3 other soldiers followed behind him. Hyunwoo Kim carried the big guns that could blow up buildings. Minho Lee had all the computer gear hanging from his belt. Taehoon Choi wore the radio pack that kept them talking to the ship above. They had been walking for 6 hours. Their boots made no sound on the soft ground covered with glowing moss. The air smelled sweet like flowers, but Jiwon knew this pretty world hid ugly secrets. "Sarge," Taehoon whispered into his mic. "Command wants to know if we found anything yet." Jiwon held up his hand to tell everyone to stop. He checked his scanner. The small screen showed heat patterns moving in the distance. Something was out there, something big enough to kill. "Tell them we're getting close," Jiwon said quietly. He thought about home. 3 years ago he lived in Busan Colony with his wife Minji and his little girl Yuna. It was a good place. People grew food and built houses and lived normal lives. Then the aliens came. The attack happened at night. Jiwon was away on military duty when the news reached him. The aliens had hit fast and hard. They destroyed everything. The buildings, the farms, the people. When Jiwon got back, there was nothing left but burned ground and twisted metal. His family was gone. Everyone was gone. The aliens called themselves Velthari. The military called them Category 7 hostiles. That meant they were smart, dangerous, and impossible to reason with. They had hit 12 colonies in 2 years. Each time they left nothing alive. "Contact," Minho said, pointing ahead. His computer screen showed movement through the trees. "Single target. About 200 meters. Jiwon felt his heart beat faster. Finally, after all this time, he would get his chance. They moved forward like hunters tracking a wild animal. The forest grew thicker around them. The glowing trees blocked most of the light from the 2 suns above. Strange flying creatures moved through the branches, but they made no sound. The alien was alone. That was unusual. Velthari usually moved in groups of 5 or 6, but the scanner showed only one heat signature ahead. "Why is it by itself?" Hyunwoo asked. "Maybe it got separated from the others," Jiwon said. "Maybe it's hurt. They got closer." Jiwon could see movement now through the trees. The alien was sitting by a small stream that glowed with the same blue light as everything else on this world. It seemed to be resting. Jiwon raised his plasma rifle. The weapon was heavy and warm in his hands. 1 shot would be enough. The plasma blast would turn the alien to ash in seconds. Through his scope, he could see the creature clearly now. It looked almost human, but wrong in small ways. It was tall and thin. Its skin changed colors like oil on water. It had 4 arms instead of 2. Its head was larger than a human head, and its eyes were big and dark. The alien seemed to know they were there. It turned and looked right at the trees where Jiwon was hiding. For a moment, their eyes met through the scope. Jiwon's finger moved to the trigger. This was it. This was for Minji. This was for Yuna. This was for everyone who died at Busan Colony. But something made him wait. The alien was not running. It was not calling for help. It was not reaching for a weapon. It was just sitting there looking at him. Green blood was running down the alien's side. It was hurt just like Jiwon had guessed. But instead of acting scared or angry, the creature did something strange. It tilted its head to one side like a curious dog, and then it smiled. Not a mean smile that showed teeth like a threat. Not a fake smile that humans sometimes made when they were lying. This was a real smile. A warm smile. The kind of smile that said hello and welcome and I'm happy to see you. Jiwon felt his finger freeze on the trigger. In all the briefings about Velthari, no one had ever said they could smile. No one had said they could look happy or curious or friendly. The alien kept looking at him. It raised one of its 4 hands and moved it in what looked like a wave. Like it was saying hello, Jiwon's hands began to shake. This was not what he expected. This was not what he had trained for. The creature in his scope did not look like a monster that destroyed colonies. It looked like someone who wanted to talk. "Sarge?" Hyunwoo whispered. "Do you have a shot?" Jiwon kept staring through the scope. The alien was still smiling at him. Still waving. It pointed to itself and then to Jiwon like it was asking a question. "Sarge?" Hyunwoo said again. Jiwon's finger was still on the trigger. One small movement and it would all be over. Justice for his family. Revenge for his home. An end to the hunt, but he could not move his finger. Something about that smile had changed everything. Ji-won kept his rifle pointed at the alien. His hands were sweating inside his gloves. The creature was only 50 meters away now, close enough to see the details of its face, close enough to see that it was watching him with what looked like interest, not fear. "Take the shot," Tae-hoon whispered through the radio. "Command is asking for confirmation." But Ji-won could not move his finger. The alien tilted its head the other way, like it was trying to understand something. It pointed at Ji-won's rifle, then at itself, then back at Ji-won. It seemed to be asking why he was pointing a weapon at it. "This is wrong," Ji-won said quietly. "What's wrong?" Hyun-woo asked. "It's just sitting there. Easy target." "Look at it," Ji-won said. "Really look at it." The other soldiers moved closer to get a better view. Through their scopes they could see what Ji-won was seeing. The alien was not acting like an enemy. It was acting like someone who was lost and hurt and hoping for help. The creature's skin was changing colors again. Now it was showing patterns of blue and silver that seemed to move like water. The colors were beautiful, like art painted on living skin. "Its wound is bad," Minho said, looking at his medical scanner. "It's lost a lot of blood. Maybe that's why it's not running." The alien seemed to understand that they were talking about it. It looked down at the green blood on its side, then looked back at them. It pressed one hand against the wound and made a face that looked like pain. Then it did something that surprised them all. It reached into a small bag hanging from its belt and pulled out what looked like medical supplies. Not alien technology, but human medical supplies. A white bandage with English writing on the package. "Where did it get that?" Hyun-woo asked. The alien held up the bandage and pointed to its wound. Then it pointed to Ji-won and made gestures like it was asking for help. It wanted them to help it fix its injury. "This is insane," Tae-hoon said. "It's asking us to give it medical aid." "Maybe it's a trick," Hyun-woo said. "Maybe it's trying to get us to come closer so it can attack." But Ji-won did not think it was a trick. The alien's eyes looked scared now. Not scared of them, but scared of dying. It kept looking at its wound and then at them, like it was hoping they would help. Ji-won lowered his rifle just a little bit. The alien saw this, and its face changed. The scared look went away and the smile came back. It made a sound that might have been relief. "Sarge, what are you doing?" Tae-hoon asked. "I don't know," Ji-won said honestly. The alien started making hand signals. It pointed to itself and made a sound that might have been its name. Then it pointed to each of them and waited, like it was asking for their names too. "Is it trying to talk to us?" Minho asked. "Looks like it," Ji-won said. The alien tried again. It pointed to itself and said something that sounded like Sora. Then it pointed to Ji-won and tilted its head in a question. "It wants to know my name," Ji-won realized. "Don't tell it anything," Tae-hoon said. "This could be how they gather intelligence." But Ji-won found himself lowering his rifle completely. "Ji-won," he said, pointing to himself. The alien's face lit up with happiness. "Ji-won," it repeated, and its pronunciation was almost perfect. Then it pointed to the others and waited. One by one, his team members gave their names. The alien repeated, each one carefully, like it was trying to remember them. Then Sora did something else unexpected. It reached into its bag again and pulled out a small device. The device looked like a mix of human and alien technology. It touched something on the device and suddenly words appeared in the air above it, written in glowing letters. The words were in English. "Hello? Friend? Help." "It has a translator," Minho said with amazement. "Look at that tech." Sora touched the device again. New words appeared. "Hurt. Need help. Please." "It's asking us to help it," Ji-won said. "It could still be a trap," Hyun-woo warned. But Ji-won was already standing up. Something deep inside him said this was right. This alien was not his enemy. It was just another being who was hurt and scared and hoping for kindness. "Sarge, don't," Tae-hoon said. Ji-won stepped out from behind the trees. Sora saw him coming and tried to stand up, but the wound made it fall back down. It held up its hands to show it had no weapons. As Ji-won got closer, He could see that Sora looked even more human than he had thought. The face was different, and the skin changed colors and there were 4 arms instead of 2, but the eyes showed emotions he recognized. Fear, hope, gratitude. Easy, Ji-Wan said, the way he might talk to a scared animal. I'm not going to hurt you. Sora's translator device made soft beeping sounds, then words appeared again. Thank you, grateful. Friend? Ji-Wan knelt down next to the wounded alien. Up close, he could see that the injury was serious. Something sharp had cut deep into Sora's side. Without help, it might die. Minho, bring the medical kit, Ji-Wan called back to his team. Are you crazy? Tae-hoon said. We're supposed to kill it, not save it. Look at it, Ji-Wan said. Really look. Does this look like a monster to you? His team came closer. Now they could all see what Ji-Wan was seeing. Sora was young, maybe the alien version of 20 years old. It had been crying. There were wet marks on its face that looked like tears. It was scared and hurt and alone. Where did you come from? Ji-Wan asked. Sora touched its device again. The words that appeared made them all freeze. Running, hiding, family dead, home destroyed. The same words that could describe Ji-Wan's own story. The same words that could describe any of the human survivors from the colony attacks. You're a refugee, Ji-Wan said quietly. Sora nodded and pointed to itself. Then it touched the device again, trying to warn. Danger coming. Big danger. Humans and my people both die if not work together. Warn us about what? Ji-Wan asked. But before Sora could answer, alarms started going off on all their equipment. Something was coming through the forest, something big. The alarms on their equipment got louder. Minho checked his scanner and his face went pale. Multiple contacts, he said. Big ones. Coming fast. Sora heard the alarms and looked scared. It touched its translator device quickly. Words appeared in the air. Devourers, run, hide. What are devourers? Ji-Wan asked, but Sora was already trying to stand up. Green blood was still flowing from its wound, but fear made it move anyway. It grabbed Ji-Wan's arm with one of its hands and pointed deeper into the forest. Safe place, come, hurry. Ji-Wan looked at his team. They were all staring at him, waiting for orders. In the distance, they could hear sounds like thunder, but thunder that never stopped. We should call for pickup, Tae-hoon said. Get back to the ship. No time, Sora said through its device. They see ships. They eat ships. Must hide, eat ships? Hyunwoo asked. What does that mean? Sora touched its device again, and this time more words appeared than before. The translator was working better now, like it was learning their language. The devourers consume everything. Metal, energy, life. They turn planets into empty rocks. They destroyed my homeworld. Now they come for yours. The thundering sound was getting closer. Through the trees, they could see flashes of red light. Move, Ji-Wan ordered. We follow Sora. They helped the wounded alien stand up. Sora was taller than any of them, but it was weak from blood loss. Hyunwoo put one of Sora's arms around his shoulder to help it walk. As they moved through the forest, Sora kept using its translator to tell them more. My people tried to warn yours. We sent messages for many months. Peace messages. But your leaders thought we were lying. What kind of messages? Minho asked. Mathematical proofs, star charts showing devourer movement, recordings of our destroyed cities. We wanted to work together to fight them. Ji-Wan felt sick to his stomach. Our command never told us about any messages. Your military shot our messenger ships. Every time we tried to make contact, you attacked us. So we tried to warn you by attacking your colonies first, to make you evacuate before the devourers arrived. You attacked our colonies to save us? Tae-hoon asked. We destroyed buildings, not people. We tried to make loud warnings so you would run away, but humans fought back instead of listening. Ji-Wan thought about Busan Colony. He remembered the official reports. The aliens had destroyed the power plant and the communication center first. Then they had attacked the residential areas. But what if they were trying to force an evacuation? My family, Ji-Wan said quietly. They died in the attack on Busan Colony. Sora stopped walking. Its skin changed to dark colors that looked like sadness. I am sorry. We tried to save them. We sent evacuation warnings in your language, but your leaders blocked our transmissions. That's impossible, Tae-hoon said. Command would have told us if you were trying to warn us. Sora touched its device again. Your leaders did not want to seem weak. They told your people that we were monsters. It was easier to fight us than to admit they needed our help. The thundering was very close now. Through the trees, they could see shapes moving in the sky. The shapes were huge, bigger than any human ship. They were black and seemed to absorb light instead of reflecting it. Devourer scouts, Sora said. If they find us, we all die. They reached a hill covered with thick crystal formations. Sora led them to what looked like a solid wall of crystal, but when it touched the wall, a hidden door opened. Cave system, Sora explained. My people hid here when the Devourers first came to this world. Inside the cave, they found more aliens. A dozen Velthari were sitting around glowing crystals that gave off heat and light. When they saw humans with Sora, they all stood up quickly. One of them, older than the others, came forward. Its skin was silver and gold, and it moved like a leader. It spoke to Sora in their own language, and Sora answered back. The older alien looked at the humans and touched a device similar to Sora's. Words appeared. I am Nari. I lead what remains of my people on this world. Sora says you listen to the truth. We're starting to understand, G1 said. Nari's device showed more words. For 2 years, we have been tracking the Devourer fleet. It is massive. Thousands of ships. They consume everything in their path and move to the next world. Why should we believe you? Tehun asked. Instead of answering with words, Nari touched another device. The air in the cave filled with images made of light. They showed space battles, planets being torn apart, and ships being consumed by the black vessels. These are recordings from our homeworld's final days, Nari explained. Watch and see what is coming for both our peoples. The images showed a beautiful world with floating cities and green oceans. Then the black ships came. The Devourer vessels fell on the planet like hungry animals. They wrapped around the cities and absorbed them. The green oceans turned black. The planet's surface cracked and broke apart. 50 billion of my people live there, Nari said. Now there is nothing but empty space where our world used to be. Jiwan felt cold inside. How many of you escaped? Perhaps 1 million scattered across the galaxy. We are all that remains of our civilization. Hyunwoo was staring at the images. How do we fight something like that? Together, Nari said. Your people are good at building weapons quickly. Our people understand Devourer technology. Separately, we both die. Together, we might survive. Minho checked his equipment. I'm picking up human radio signals. Our fleet is engaging something at the edge of the system. Nari's skin turned dark colors again. The advanced scouts have arrived. Your ships will not survive alone. We have to warn them, Tehun said. We have been trying to warn them, Sora said. But they think our warnings are attacks. G1 looked around the cave at the refugee aliens. They were not monsters. They were survivors, just like the humans who had escaped the colony attacks. They were people who had lost everything and were trying to save others from the same fate. What do you need us to do? G1 asked. Nari's translator showed new words. Help us contact your leaders. Make them listen to the truth. Show them that we can work together. They'll court-martial us for fraternizing with the enemy, Tehun said. Then we make sure we're not the enemy anymore, G1 said. He looked at Sora. Will you come with us? Will you help us convince them? Sora's skin changed to bright colors that looked like hope. Yes, for both our peoples. Outside the cave, the thundering sounds grew louder. The Devourers were coming. The thundering outside the cave stopped suddenly. The silence was worse than the noise. Nari checked a crystal device that showed images from outside. The scouts are gone. They found nothing here, but they will return with the main fleet. How long do we have? G1 asked. Perhaps 10 days before the full Devourer force arrives. Maybe less, G1 made his decision. Sora, you're coming with us. We're going back to human command. They will kill me, Sora said through its translator. Not if I have anything to say about it, Jiwan replied. My team will protect you. Tehun looked worried. Sarge, this is against all regulations. They'll call it treason. Then we make sure it's treason that saves both our species, Jiwan said. Over the next few hours, the humans learned more about the Velthari. They were not so different from humans. They had families. They told jokes. They worried about their children. They loved music and art and good food. Hyunwoo spent time with a Velthari engineer named Quan. Quan showed him explosive devices that could punch holes through Devourer ship hulls. The technology was far ahead of human weapons. Your people make good bombs too, Quan said through his translator. But you make them to break things apart. We make them to break things inward. Together we could make bombs that break devourers into nothing. Minho worked with a young Velthari named Isal who understood computer systems. She showed him how Velthari technology could connect with human networks. Your computers think in straight lines, Isul explained. Our computers think in circles. When we combine them, they think in ways that devourers cannot predict. Tehun talked with Velthari communication experts. They had been listening to human radio signals for months, learning human languages and customs. We know your music, one of them said. We like the songs about hope and fighting together. We thought maybe humans would like to fight together with us too, but it was Nari who showed them the most important thing. She had star charts that tracked devourer movements across the galaxy. They do not attack randomly, Nari explained. They follow energy patterns. Worlds with advanced technology call to them like light calls to moths. So they're attracted to our technology, G1 asked. Yes, but that is also their weakness. If we make the right kind of energy signature, we can lead them into traps. Sora had been quietly working on something while the others talked. Now it showed them a device that looked like a communication array. I have been building a translator that can send messages to your fleet, Sora said. Not just words, but emotions and intentions. Your leaders will feel that we mean no harm. That's amazing, Minho said. How does it work? Your brains and our brains work differently, but emotions are similar. Fear, hope, love, sadness? This device translates those feelings so your people can sense our sincerity. When morning came, they prepared to leave. Nari gave them supplies and weapons. She also gave them a small crystal that contained all the information about devourer movements and weaknesses. If your leaders will not listen to words, perhaps they will listen to facts, Nari said. The journey back to human lines took 2 days. Sora traveled with them, wearing a cloak to hide its alien features from a distance. The Velthari had given each human a small communication device so they could stay in contact. As they got closer to the human base, they could see ships landing and taking off constantly. The fleet was preparing for something big. They know something is coming, Tehun observed. When they reached the perimeter, human guards spotted them immediately. Soldiers surrounded them with weapons drawn. Sergeant Park, you were ordered to maintain radio silence. Where have you been for 3 days? A lieutenant demanded. We found what we were looking for, Jiwan said, but it's not what command thinks it is. The lieutenant noticed Sora standing behind them. Even with the cloak, it was obviously not human. Is that an alien? The lieutenant asked, raising his weapon. Yes, Jiwan said, and it's here to help us. Are you insane? That thing is the enemy. No, Jiwan said calmly. The enemy is something much worse. And this thing has a name. Her name is Sora, and she's risking her life to save ours. More soldiers arrived. Soon they were surrounded by 24 weapons pointed at them. Step away from the hostile. Sergeant, the lieutenant ordered. She's not hostile, Hyunwoo said, moving to stand beside Jiwon. She's a refugee. They're all refugees, Minho added, joining them. We've been fighting the wrong enemy. Taehun hesitated for a moment, then stepped forward too. My squad leader is right. These aliens are trying to warn us about something that will destroy us all. The lieutenant looked confused. What are you talking about? Sora slowly pulled out its translator device. Words appeared in the air. Please, let me show you the truth. Your people and mine will die if we do not work together. It can talk, one of the soldiers said with surprise. She can do more than talk, Jiwon said. She can save us all. But the lieutenant was already reaching for his radio. Command, this is Perimeter Guard 7. We have a situation. Sergeant Park has returned with an alien prisoner, requesting immediate backup. Within minutes, armored vehicles surrounded them. Officers jumped out and took control of the situation. Sergeant Park, you are under arrest for violating direct orders and fraternizing with hostile alien forces, a colonel announced. Colonel, you need to listen to what they have to say, Jiwon said. The only thing I need to do is secure this alien for interrogation, the colonel replied. As they put restraints on Sora, she looked at Jiwon with trust in her large dark eyes. She had believed him when he said his people would listen. Now she was a prisoner, and it was his fault. This is a mistake, Jiwon said as soldiers put restraints on him too. The only mistake was trusting you to follow orders, the colonel said. As they were loaded into transport vehicles, Jiwon could see ships launching from the base. The human fleet was moving out to face whatever was coming. They had no idea what they were really up against. And now, because of his choices, G1 and his team were prisoners instead of allies. Sora was being treated like an enemy instead of a friend. But as the transport moved toward the detention center, G1 heard something that gave him hope. His radio was picking up transmissions from the Velthari communication device Nari had given him. Other Velthari were listening. They knew where Sora was being taken. They were making their own plans. The alliance was not over. It was just beginning. The military courthouse was full of angry officers. G1 sat at a metal table with his hands in restraints. His team sat beside him, also chained. Across the room, Sora was locked in a special cage designed for alien prisoners. General Hayes stood at the front of the room reading the charges. Sergeant Park, you are accused of treason, disobeying direct orders and giving aid to hostile alien forces. The alien forces are not hostile, sir, G1 said. That determination is not yours to make. Sergeant, the trial had been going on for 2 hours. Military lawyers presented evidence of G1's crimes. Video recordings showed him lowering his weapon. Radio transmissions proved he had made contact with the enemy. The defendant clearly violated his duty to protect humanity, the prosecutor said. His actions endangered the entire fleet. When it was time for G1 to speak, he stood up carefully. General Hayes, with respect, you need to listen to what the alien has to say. We have interrogated the prisoner extensively, the general replied. It continues to spread propaganda about some imaginary threat. It's not imaginary, Hyunwoo said. We've seen the evidence. You've seen alien lies designed to make us lower our guard, the general said. Sora had been silent during most of the trial. Her translator device had been taken away so she could not speak to them. But now she stood up in her cage and began making loud sounds. Silence the prisoner, the general ordered. But Sora kept making noise. She was pointing at something through the window. Outside, red lights were flashing across the sky. Suddenly, alarms began ringing throughout the base. An officer ran into the courtroom with a report. General, we have massive contacts at the edge of the system. Unknown vessels. Hundreds of them. The general looked confused. Velthari reinforcements? No, sir, these are much larger. And they're not responding to any communications. Through the window, they could see the human fleet moving to intercept the unknown contacts. Hundreds of human ships formed battle lines in space above the planet. Sora was still making noise and pointing. She seemed to be trying to tell them something urgent. Give her the translator, G1 said. Absolutely not, the general replied. But Minho had been quietly working on his own communication device. He had connected it to the Velthari network. Suddenly, words appeared in the air above his device. Devourers have arrived. Human ships will be consumed. Must work together now. The words were coming from Sora, transmitted through the Velthari communication network. That's impossible, the general said. How is she doing that? More words appeared. Your fleet is brave but cannot win alone. Let us help, please. On the room's communication screen, they could see the space battle beginning. Human ships opened fire on the black vessels. Their weapons hit the enemy ships but seemed to do no damage. The black ships began to glow brighter. They're absorbing our energy weapons, a communication officer reported. The more we shoot, the stronger they get. Through Minho's device, more words appeared from Sora. Devourers feed on energy. Must use different weapons, we know how. The general was watching his fleet being destroyed on the screen. Ship after ship was being surrounded by the black vessels. When the Devourers touched human ships, the ships simply disappeared. Sir, the communication officer said, we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Chen. He's requesting all available reinforcements. We've already committed everything, the general said. His face was pale. More words from Sora. Velthari fleet is hiding in asteroid belt. We have weapons that work. Let us join battle. This could be a trick, the prosecutor said. They could be working with these Devourers, but G1 was watching the screen. Another human ship vanished into a black vessel. General, what do you have to lose? Our fleet is being destroyed. The general stared at the screen for a long moment. More ships disappeared. The human formation was falling apart. If we let them help and this is a trap, we lose everything, the general said. If we don't let them help, we lose everything anyway, G1 replied. Sora sent more words. I give you location of my people. If we betray you, you can destroy us all. Coordinates appeared on the screen, showing exactly where the Velthari fleet was hiding. The general made his decision. Open a channel to the Velthari fleet. Within minutes, the hidden alien ships were moving toward the battle. They were smaller than human ships, but faster, and their weapons were different. Instead of energy beams, they fired projectiles that seemed to punch holes in the black vessels. How are they doing that? An officer asked. Words appeared from Sora. Mass drivers, solid projectiles. Devourers cannot absorb kinetic energy. The Velthari ships moved through the battle like dancers, hitting the Devourers with precise strikes. But there were too many enemy ships. Even with help, the combined fleet was outnumbered 10-1. We need a better strategy, the general said. More words from Sora. Devourers have central command ship. Destroy it. And others become confused. I can guide you to it. Release the prisoner, the general ordered. When Sora was freed from the cage, she immediately went to the tactical display. Her forearms moved quickly across the controls, highlighting one massive ship in the center of the Devourer formation. That one, she said through a new translator device. But it is heavily protected. Need combined attack. Human ships draw attention. Velthari ships strike weak points. The general gave the orders. Human ships moved in formation to attract the Devourer's attention. While the enemy was focused on absorbing energy weapons, Velthari ships slipped through their defenses. It worked. The combined attack destroyed the command ship in a brilliant explosion. Immediately, the other Devourer vessels stopped their coordinated attack. They began moving randomly like animals without a leader. Now we can win, Sora said, but must work together. Your ships and mine fighting as one. For the next 6 hours, human and Velthari ships fought side by side. They shared targeting information, covered each other's weaknesses, and combined their different technologies. Slowly, the Devourer fleet was destroyed. When the last enemy ship was gone, both fleets met in space above the planet. Human and Velthari captains talked to each other for the first time. They shared stories of their losses and hopes for the future. Back on the planet, the courtroom had become a command center. Jiwon's charges were dropped. Instead of being punished, he was promoted to lieutenant and given command of the 1st Joint Human Velthari Unit. Sora stood beside him as they watched the celebration outside. Humans and Velthari were working together to repair damaged ships and plan for future threats. You saved us all, Jiwon said to her. No, Sora replied. You saved us all. When you had your finger on the trigger, you chose not to pull it. That choice changed everything. Why did you smile at me that day? Jiwon asked. Sora's skin changed to warm colors that looked like happiness. Because I could see in your eyes that you were not a killer. You were someone who could learn, someone who could choose hope instead of fear. General Hayes approached them. Lieutenant Park, congratulations on your promotion. Your new unit will be responsible for training other mixed human Velthari teams. Thank you, sir, Jiwon said. And Sora, the general continued, the human government would like to offer you the position of cultural liaison between our peoples. I accept with honor, Sora said. As the two fleets prepared to return to their home bases, Jiwon thought about that moment in the forest when everything changed. He had been ready to kill. His finger had been on the trigger. All his training said to shoot, but then Sora smiled and he saw her not as an enemy but as a person. That moment of hesitation, that choice to see humanity in an alien face, had saved 2 entire civilizations. Sometimes the greatest act of courage was not knowing when to shoot, but knowing when not to. 3 months later, human and Velthari colonies were being built together throughout the galaxy. Children from both species played together and learned each other's languages. Scientists shared discoveries that benefited everyone. And whenever new threats appeared, the combined fleets were ready, because they had learned that some battles could only be won when different peoples chose to fight together. Jiwon kept the photo of his wife and daughter on his desk in the new Joint Command Center. Next to it was a picture of Sora's family, who had died when the Devourers destroyed her homeworld. They had both lost everything to fear and misunderstanding. But they had found something new together. Hope for a future where different peoples could become one people, united against the darkness of the universe. And it all began with a smile and a finger that chose not to pull the trigger.